Okay, here's the Chinese RMB. The Chinese yuan, as you can see, in 1990 was priced at almost 20 grams of gold, or excuse me, micrograms of gold. And today you can see that the Chinese currency, the yuan, is priced at about 3.5 micrograms of gold. Think about that for a moment. This is the Chinese RMB priced in gold. Now, you know that the Chinese RMB has appreciated substantially against the U.S. dollar, but as you can see, the Chinese RMB has lost tremendous amount of purchasing power relative to gold. Now, let's take a look at coffee. Coffee is the most consumed beverage in the world. Let's take a look at the price of coffee priced in grams of gold. This is coffee priced since 1994 in micrograms of gold per pound. You can see coffee peaked out in a great bull market at over 300 micrograms of gold back in 1997, and today you've seen, since 1997, we have been in a significant bear market in coffee, because today it's priced at about 35 micrograms of gold. A little over 30, perhaps 32. Here's another image of that same coffee priced in micrograms of gold since 2006. And as you can see, we are in fact in a bear market of that particular commodity when I price it in a currency denominator other than the U.S. dollar. Here's one that very well may surprise you, and this is crude oil. This is what crude oil looks like in prices of gold. And this is the price of crude oil. Blow this up a little bit for you. This is the price of crude oil going back to 1950. And this is West Texas Intermediate crude oil priced in grams of gold per barrel. Now take a hard look at this. In the 1950s and 60s, it took approximately 2.5 grams of gold to purchase you 1 barrel of oil. We've seen a very volatile priced, these are two very volatile priced assets. Not only gold as the currency denominator or the measuring tool at which we're pricing barrels of oil, but also the barrel of oil itself. Now note that a barrel of oil has not changed in its specific amount of BTUs of energy. And gold has really not changed. Gold is an inert element. So at the end of the day, what has dramatically fluctuated here, relative, and of course, as you all know, gold is also priced in dollars. Oil is also priced in dollars. So we're basically looking at the exchange rate. But take a look at where we are today. Today we have oil priced at approximately 1.7, barrel of oil priced at approximately 1.7 grams of gold, a little over 2. This is the New York Merc crude oil futures contract showing you that oil today, down from 2008 of almost 5 grams of gold, is now priced at about 2 grams of gold. So in fact, we've been in a significant bear market in gold, in oil relative to gold. Now everybody knows, or everybody believes, that college tuition has been rising exponentially. If you've had the opportunity to send your kids to college, you know that we've seen a significant rise in college tuition. What we're going to take a look at is a chart of the cost of tuition, room and board at Yale College priced in grams of gold. Now, for those of you that are not familiar with Yale, it's a very upscale Ivy League university in Connecticut, and if you were to price college tuition, room and board in dollars, I think all of you have a very specific image of what's dramatically happened to the tuition. Matter of fact, in 1932, it cost you approximately $1,050 a year. By 2009, the cost was about $48,000 a year. But if I take a look at pricing college tuition in grams of gold, it has a totally different picture. Take a look at this. In 1900, it took approximately 1,000 grams of gold to purchase you a year's worth of college tuition, room, and board. We saw it escalate all the way up to almost 3,500 grams of gold, and then collapse in 1970 from 3,500 grams of gold down to 500 grams of gold. Over the last 20 years, we've seen the price of college tuition go from 500 grams of gold at Yale to over 4,000, an eightfold increase. But look what's happened to college tuition since 2000, or the last 12 and a half years. We've seen it collapse all the way from 4,000 back down to 1,000, a little over 1,000 grams of gold. That is a totally different perceived value or perspective of what you probably have about the cost of college tuition, room, and board, priced in grams of gold, using gold again as our denominator. Matter of fact, I've got a couple of kids that just got out of college, and that was extremely interesting for me. Now, one of the greatest ratios that I've always paid a lot of attention to is the price of copper. You know, copper is usually called the metal that has a PhD in economics. In other words, there's more economic wisdom priced into the price of copper because it is such a critical element to a modern civilization. It is very sensitive to the pace, the ebb and flow of everything related to a modern economy, from electrical wiring to circuit boards to plumbing, coins, creating various alloys. When the economy is growing, the price of copper is rising in dollars. When the economy is shrinking, copper is telling us in real terms that the economy is in fact shrinking. So let's take a look at copper priced in grams of gold. Now, if you look at since the commodity peak in 2008, we've seen copper priced in grams per ton go from about 325 grams of gold per ton down to a little over 150 grams per ton. Let's take another look that I think is quite telling, is the expansion of the U.S. economy. If you use, again, gold as your currency denominator to price copper, you can see since the 1900, where it took about 600 grams of gold to purchase 1 ton of copper, today it only takes 200 grams of gold to purchase 1 ton of copper. Now, a lot of that we can owe to the efficiency of the mining industry through mechanization, automation, the discovery of and the competition in the extraction of copper, recycling of copper. But you can see since 1900, look at that great bull market in copper coming out of the Great Depression in the 1930s. We saw copper go from 200 grams per ton to over 1,000 grams per ton. But look what's happened to the price of copper since 1970's peak, where it's gone from 1,000 grams down below 200, and today it's just over 200 grams per ton. That is telling you something about the global economy. This is one that will surprise most of the people on Wall Street. I have been following what I call the Dow-Gold ratio since, the early 1970s. And most people here today are looking at over 15,000 on the Dow. We're looking at 1660 on the S&P. And everybody is talking about a new bull market.